In this video, we're going to be looking at the irregular compounds of Volo, Nolo, and Malo. However, before we begin, let's remember Volo very quickly. I challenge you right now to pause the video and conjugate Volo to the best of your recollection. Also remember to put in translations, and in a few seconds, I'll put it on the screen. Okay, we have Volo, I want, Wees, you want, Volt, he or she wants, Volumus, we want, Voltus, you all want, and Volant, they want. Awesome review. Alright, now let's look at the verb Nolo. Nolo, much like Volo, has three principal parts. Nolo, Nole, and Noloi. Because it is intransitive, it does not have a fourth principal part. Now, as you may guess, Nolo is a contract of non and Volo, and it means I don't want. Okay, now, in order to figure out how to conjugate Nolo, we can follow a simple arithmetic-looking rule. O plus O equals O, but O does not like to be near I and U. Okay, that's a big rule right here. Let's see if we can tackle it. To begin, I want you to put non in all 6 blanks. Now I want you to conjugate Volo next to it. Okay, awesome. So, when we have something like non-Volo, as we see from the rule, O plus O equals O. So, this O in non and this first O in Volo are going to contract. And as a result, we are going to get the word Nolo. Okay, but now for the second person singular, we have non-wees. Okay, let's go back to our rule. O does not like to be near I and U. Well, we have this O in non and the I in wees. So what are we going to do? We're just going to leave this as is. We're going to say it's 2 separate words, non-wees. What about for the third person singular? What do you think is going to happen here? Yeah, just like the second person singular, we're going to leave this as is because the O in non and the U in volt cannot contract. What do you think for non-volumus, the first person plural? Yeah, this can contract. We have the O in non and the O in volumus, so we're going to have nolumus. For the second person plural, we're going to leave these as is, 2 separate words, since non and voltus cannot contract. However, for the third person plural, they can contract, and we get nolant. Awesome. Now go ahead and write out translations for all 6 of these. Okay, here are our translations. Now let's tackle the imperfect for Nolo. If you remember, for the imperfect for Volo, we had vol as our root. Any guesses what we might have this time? Yeah, we have nol, which is a contraction of non plus vol. Once again, we're going to use E as our thematic vowel before our endings bom, bos, bot, etc. Alright, I want you to try and conjugate Nolo on your own in the imperfect tense, and don't forget to include translations. In a few seconds, I'll put it on the screen. Okay, we have Nole bom, I was not wanting, Nole bas, you were not wanting, Nole bot, he or she was not wanting, Nole bamus, we were not wanting, Nole batis, you all were not wanting, and Nole bont, they were not wanting. Alright, here's the future. Once again, we're going to be using the stem nol, and just like for Volo, we're going to use as, et, etc. in order to form the future tense. Go ahead and try it now. Don't forget to include translations. In a few seconds, I'll put the forms up on the slide. Okay, awesome. We have no lam, I will not want. No lays, you will not want. No let, he or she will not want. No lamus, we will not want. No latus, you all will not want. And no lent, they will not want. Now let's look at the verb malo, which means to prefer. Our principal parts for malo are malo, male, and maloi. Like the other two, Volo and Nolo, it does not have a fourth principal part. Malo is a contract of magus, which is an adverb meaning more, and Volo. So magus Volo means I want more. The semantic root of magus is the syllable ma, M-A, and that's the syllable we're really going to be working with. Alright, now let's address our rule for how to conjugate this. A plus O equals A, but A does not like to be near I or you. Let's see if we can dissect this further by going through our conjugation. To start off, I want you to write the syllable ma, M-A, in all 6 blanks. Awesome. Now I want you to conjugate Volo right next to ma so that you make one word in each blank. Okay, so you should have one word in each blank, and it should look like ma wolo, ma wis, and ma wolt going down the singular column. Alright, let's see where the contractions happen. Well, in each place where it did not contract under Nolo, it still will not contract here. So ma wis will stay the same, meaning you prefer. Ma wolt will stay the same, meaning he or she prefers. And ma woltus will stay the same, meaning you all prefer. These other 3 are going to contract. Ma wolo is going to become malo, I prefer. Ma volumus is going to become malumus, we prefer. And finally, ma volunt is going to become malunt, they prefer. Awesome. For the imperfect, it's going to function much like Volo and Nolo did. Here our root is going to be mal, and we're going to add the thematic vowel long E before our endings bam, bas, and bat. Go ahead and conjugate malo in the imperfect. Don't forget to include your translation. In a few seconds, I'll put it up on the slide. Okay, we have malebam, I was preferring, malebas, you were preferring, malebat, he or she was preferring, malebamas, we were preferring, malebatis, you all were preferring, and malebant, they were preferring. Alright, for the future, we're going to maintain our root mal, and we're going to add on as, et, etc. for our endings. Go ahead and conjugate malo in the future tense now. Don't forget to include your translations, and in a few seconds I'll put it up on the slide. Okay, we have malam, I will prefer, malaise, you will prefer, malet, he or she will prefer, malemus, we will prefer, malatus, you all will prefer, and malent, they will prefer. Okay, what about the perfect system? Or what about the passive voice for these 3 verbs? Well, our principal parts are volo, vele, volui, nolo, nole, noloui, and malo, male, malui. Notice that all 3 of these verbs have totally regular third principal parts. And because of that, the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect tenses will all be totally regular. That deserves a smiley face. What about the passive forms? Well, all three of these verbs are missing fourth principal parts. So that's a big clue that the passive does not exist for these three verbs. Okay. These verbs do have participles, and specifically we're going to look at the present active participial forms. So, Volo, the present active participle, is volens, volentis. For Nolo, our participial form is nolens, nolentis. And for Malo, the participial form is malens, malentis. Okay, that's our lesson on the compounds Nolo and Malo. I do not want you to forget these, and I prefer that you practice them frequently.